Coaches, I'm sitting here in Dabo Sweeney's office and wondering what you got to do to get your dream job. Let's talk about it on the channel today with a real special guest, and maybe one day you or I will be sitting in this office interviewing somebody like us. Stay tuned. All right, guys, I'm really excited today to have my special friend, my good old friend. Just don't let him borrow your key or he'll break it. Chris Hughes from CarolinaPreps.com. Probably one of the most influential guys in high school football in North Carolina. He took a little time off and he's back on the scene, and I'm so excited to have him on the channel. You got to go over and check him out on his channel, Carolina Preps. He's got a lot of high school coaches on there. Like I said, guys, he is a guy you need to know if you're in the North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia area. He's done some regional TV with Fox and really active with the Shrine Bowl, the North Carolina, South Carolina Shrine Bowl. So if you're interested in that and want to know some things like that, hit him up. And I'll put his contact information in the description down below. But hey, listen, I hope you guys like these kind of videos. You know how I like to bring guys on and off. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, I need y'all to subscribe. I found out something about y'all. 49% of you guys are subscribing. That means 51% of the guys that watch all these videos, if you haven't hit that button and hit that bell yet, I need you to do that so the channel can grow. You know, we're trying to get to 5,000 by the end of the year, but I love you guys for that. So, Chris, let's talk about how we get our dream job. And I think I have my dream job finally. I finally got to go to a place where we got studs and I've always had to go get those jobs that weren't considered so great, flip them, and then move. But I think I finally got a destination job, and I've been through the process a few times. But just talk about what your role is in helping guys find jobs these days, because people call you every day about what's going on across North Carolina and South Carolina.
Well, Coach Coltharp, I appreciate you bringing me on. And the way to get your dream job, and I tell this to everybody, is you've got to know people. People have to know you. Obscurity is the enemy to trying to get a good job. I mean, you can be the best coach in the world, but if nobody knows that, it ain't going to do you no good. So you've got to have people know you. And how do you do that? You got to go to clinics. You got to shake people's hands. You got to go to sessions. Go to sessions like this, or go to when we get back to the real world, go to the clinics and sit and meet people. You've got to have a phone that has, is robust. I mean, my phone's probably got about 6,000 coaches in it, but you've got to have people that for a lot of different reasons. One, hey, I'm trying to get a job in Robeson County. I want to call Coach Coltharp because he knows everything about every school there. So you need to do your investigating. You need to know whether the school you want is your dream job or not, because I've learned, and Coach, you can attest to that, jobs might look good on the outside, but all of a sudden you start roaming the halls of that building and you find out really quick that maybe it isn't as good a job as you think it is. So you've got to do your research.
I say that all the time. You go to the state convention, in Greensboro and those kind of things, and you'll see guys, and they never leave their staff.
Never.
It's 7 guys with the same shirt on. They stay in a pack. They never separate. They never mingle. They never meet different people. And for me, being from the eastern side of the state, I'm fortunate that I went to Appalachian State, and a lot of the guys that I went to college with coach out in the western side of the state. So if I want to go out west or anything like that, or find out what's going out west, I can talk to my buddies and say, hey man, what about this school? What about that school? And they do the same with me conversely. What about this school? What about that school? And things like that. And I can't tell you the last time that I applied for the job at a school and didn't know why the other coach had left, if they were going to have some studs coming back, what it was like to work with the AD or what it was like to work for the principal before I even hit send on the email, because of all the people that I know.
Absolutely. You've got to talk to people. You've got to get situational awareness of what's happening inside them hallways, in that building. I've learned, and we've both worked for some great coaches, one principal change. You can go from, the Jackie Warner to a different principal, and it changes the dynamic of that school overnight. So a good principal can make a average job exceptional overnight, and vice versa. You could have the best job in the world and the principal leaves and it becomes just an average regular job. So principal administration buy-in is huge. You need to know that before you even press send on the resume. Can you work for the AD? Are you working for the AD, or are you working for the principal? You've got to understand who it is you're working for and make sure that you can coexist with that person. And you're right. You just got to communicate with people. You need to know exactly everything there is to know about that job before you even consider press and send on that resume.
So, and people don't think this happens at the high school level, but I know it happens all over the country. ADs and principals will call you because you know a lot of people. What are 2 or 3 things that they always ask you when they're looking for guys to fill the position?
Well, every AD or principal that they call me, and I get tons of these calls all the time, they want to know what kind of person they are. Are they the kind of person that's going to come in and willing to, I don't want to say change who they are. You need to be true to who you are, but are they a person that's going to come in and is flexible enough to work within the system, the rules of the school, the parameters that they're getting themselves into, or are they a square peg round hole coach that's just going to do it his way and that way? So people, administrators want to know that you're flexible and you're willing to exist as a part of their staff. Because remember, it's their school that you're going to.
Absolutely.
I always hear, administrators to me, and there's different kinds of administrators. We're the old hats where it used to be the old coach who's 60 years old. Now he's a principal. In today's world, principals are 28, 29, 30-year-old guys that some of them can care less about football. So you need to understand what kind of principal it is you're talking to and what their expectations are, because that's going to tell you a lot. A young principal is not going to care that much about your X's and O's. They don't care about scheme. They just want to make sure that you're not in their hair and that you're not spending too much of their money. Most principals just want to be at the game on Friday night and be seen and shake hands. And, they're happy as heck that you can win. But are they really committed to giving you what you want to help you win?
I've been real fortunate. I would say, 9 out of the 10 principals that I've had when I was a head coach have been about that, and what, in my experience, what the principal really wants is to hand you the keys to the football program and not have to worry about it anymore.
Yes.
And they don't want parents calling them. They don't want kids getting in trouble in school and those kind of things. And so you have to go in there with that plan to do that. So how do you go about going after that job that you're not supposed to get? Because I know, a lot of times people think that when a change is made at a school, there's already an idea of who they want. And that happens a lot. But there are some, especially around here these days, there's been some jobs pop open because guys have left and went to other states that the principal really didn't have a chance to say, oh my God, this is who I want. So how do I go get that job that I'm not supposed to get?
There's a couple things that I've learned, and I try to impress this upon coaches all the time, and I don't know if they listen to me. First off, I think you need to be one of the first persons to send that resume to a school. I think the timeliness of when it gets to that athletic director's desk matters, because I think that they look at their first handful or dozen or so resumes, and that sets the tone for the other candidates. So I think you need to get in on the job early. But more than anything, I think it pays to have someone look at your resume. You want to make sure that it's well written. There's no grammatical errors.
I tell you, and I was getting ready to say this. If you haven't gone to 8laces.org, if you haven't gone to 8laces.org and looked at the stuff that Chris Ford does, you're crazy. Because I'm going to tell you, this is my 4th or 5th head football job. So I thought my resume was what it needed to be. And I sent my stuff to Chris and had him look at it because I kept getting, thank you for applying letters and things like that. And he destroyed it.
Yes.
He literally destroyed it because he was like I had a spot on my resume at the very top. It was like college coaches or college players coached. And I had all these kids listed. And he put on the side, there's a pretty good chance most of these guys were going to go to college without you, coach. So listing all these names is kind of a waste. What you need to say is just put a number. Hey, I've had so-and-so guys sign.
Yes.
So listing all these guys. And so he really opened my eyes to a lot of different things. So if you haven't gone to 8laces.org, I know there's probably other people. Chris probably knows other people, but I can tell you Chris Ford is at the top of it in this country, and he has a great service. So check that out. And hey, Chris, you can send me my check later.
Absolutely. And Chris's site's absolutely on point. And I agree. And I would go to 8laces as well. But remember, we're in the education business. I mean, principals, they were English teachers or whatever teachers, grammatical errors count. I've been told that even as one misplaced comma or one error to some principals could completely eliminate you from the job. But what I think even more important than the resume is you've got to have a cover letter that is fast to the point and tells exactly who you are, that sets you apart from every other person that sends that resume, because they may not even get your resume. They may just look at your cover letter, and depending upon how well written it is or what it says, they may just not even look at your resume. So I think you've got to set yourself apart in the first 2 or 3 paragraphs.
What are some things that you think that a person should put in that cover letter?
Well, I think more than anything, you got to remember who it is that we're selling ourselves to. We're not selling ourselves to a football coach. We're selling ourselves to an academic, an educator. You need to make sure that you are a teacher first that coaches football. And I think that you need to stress that you use your teaching lessons learned in the classroom to coach the kids. This is an extension of the classroom to a lot of principals. So I think you need to tailor your messages to what a principal wants to hear. Now, yes, we're both football coaches, and we would much rather break down the veer or talk about the spread or whatever. Yeah. But principals don't think that way. And
my mentor, and Coach Butts, and he kind of comes from the same kind of family that your mentors come from. But Coach Butts told me a long time ago, he said, the principal pays you a lot more than the athletic director does.
Absolutely.
You can pay your mortgage off the principal. You can't pay it off the athletic director, at least not North Carolina and most of the states around here, unless you got one of them big time Georgia, South Carolina, Texas jobs. But,
absolutely.
So you have to be, like you said, in the classroom doing the things. And one of the things I talk about in my cover letter is the fact that I have an EDS and curriculum instruction, and I believe in, that great coaches are great teachers first.
Without a doubt.
And I think that's a great point. A lot of young guys probably don't push that to the forefront in their cover letters about how, they're certified educators and want to do those kind of things. Because, unless you're in the Georgia, Texas areas of the world where you get to be the athletic coordinator, head football coach, most of us are going to either be, you're going to be in the classroom.
Absolutely right. But, again, that goes back to the investigative work that you're going to do before you press in. You need to learn everything you can about that principal, or if not the principal. Some school systems are different. Right now, let's just use Mooresville High School for an example. That job's open. It's a city school system where the superintendent may be the one making the hire. But you need to know exactly who that decision maker is and tailor your message to that person. Because you never know, that superintendent may have been a 15-year head football coach or maybe a basketball coach. So then maybe you should tailor it a little bit more to the athletic side. But I think you always err to the academics, because principals, men, we're in the school business. We're not in the football business. But obviously we know how important football is to the business of the school. I mean, academics, if done right, can thrive off athletics if the principal is smart enough to do it.
Yeah, and like I said, man, those are some great points in getting your dream job. And guys, I hope you got some stuff off of Chris. You can go over to his website, carolinapress.com, talk to him. Go over to his YouTube channel. I'm gonna put his link to his channel in the description. Go over and subscribe, man. He's had a channel for a long time, but he's just now starting to focus on the YouTube stuff. His website is one of the premier websites. His forums are flaming during football season. I mean, it's ridiculous how much information is on those forums and guys in there sharing stuff and stuff like that. But, he's coming over to YouTube a little bit, and Chris and I go way back. I mean, we're talking like 2005, 2004, around that time. And we have a lot of good friends in common. But over the years, I've learned that it's cool to know people like him. There's somebody like him in every state, I promise. I promise you there is, and he probably knows them. So reach out to him. What's your YouTube handle, Coach?
Chris Hughes CP. I've got to make sure that's right. Chris Hughes CP. CP for Carolina Preps. And we maybe we'll try to find a way to make that a little bit easier to find. But right now, that's where you can check us out.
Yeah, so hit him up on Twitter and follow him, and I'm sure if you DM him or whatever, he'll get back to you, because I can tell you this, there's not been a time that I've texted Chris that I either didn't hear right back from him, or within 30 to 45 minutes he texts me back, hey man, sorry I was with so and so and so and so. But go over and check his channel. Like, he's got some great new videos that he's starting to do, a lot of interviews with some up and coming coaches, some veteran coaches, some classroom teachers, talking about the importance of football in the building. I mean, and really you got to understand what your brand is if you're going out to get that dream job, because you can get it. Just like I said in the intro, if you want to be sitting in Dabo Sweeney's office one day, and it's funny because the thumbnail, the background is the trophies from from Valdosta High School because Rush Probst just got that job. Do you know who used to work for Rush Probst, Coach?
I do. Kevin Motzinger.
Yeah. Jeremy Pruitt used to work for Rush Probst.
Oh, I didn't know that, but I know Kevin Motzinger.
And you know what? My dream job would be the head coach at University of Tennessee because, that's where my dad's family is from. So you never know how there's guys right now who are up there, doing the big things in the NFL, in the pro game, in the college game, big time D1 coaches and stuff like that who started off as, JV offensive line coaches. And you just have to understand what your brand is, expand that brand, network, meet people like Chris, take advantage of us older, more experienced coaches who've been around the block and made some mistakes and learn from our mistakes. And then you too will learn how to spin it to win. Coaches, welcome to the Squadron 53.3 Air Raid Academy page at 92meshgroup.com. Do you want monthly access to our courses, clinics, and other private exclusive 92 Mesh Group materials? Then become an elite tier Patreon. For $15 a month, you get access to our courses from CoachTube, our private clinics that we do on Zoom, and other stuff that we just don't publish to the general public. Each month we'll rotate courses in and out of the academy so it stays fresh, and you'll have access to stuff as we release it exclusively on CoachTube and through our private clinics.